Hey class, good to see you guys. Well, at least you get to see me. So it's week like 4, I think now, and I haven't made many of these videos, but I felt it was really important to make one for this introduction to OnShape. So just a little background for you. OnShape started a few years ago, and it really is the Google Docs of parametric modeling. So I actually do believe that programs like OnShape will be the future. So although we've been relying on Autodesk Inventor, I actually think it's a really good skill and a really good opportunity for you to try something that I think is really going to be the norm in the future. And I could see Onshape being one of the elite programs in the future because some of the differences is instead of creating a file that you save on the computer, Onshape is cloud-based. You don't need any download in order to run it. Another thing. So if I jump onto any computer and log on to Onshape, I will see these same parts. Secondly, instead of creating a file that's an IPT, an IAM, an IDW, or DWG, IPN, all these things, everything exists in one link. And I'll show you that now, and I'll show you with some student models. So I'm going to open up, and these are shared just like you would in the past. So what they did is they created this control, and this was for, I don't remember what it was, but they improved it by creating this little tab right here. So that they actually improved the remote. And one of the things you may notice is the fact that each part is a tab. So as I tab through it, and then you'll notice that there's more than one part in one tab. So unlike before where, let's say you had Lego parts and you had to make, 10 different files for Lego Block 1, Lego Block 2, Lego Block 3, you can make all 10 in one, share it with somebody else, and then have an open library to all these parts. So everyone on here got to see these parts at the same time. So everyone that was on this team could share their files with each other. They could all create their DWGs on the same exact file, and then they could all work on the assembly at the exact same time. How crazy is that? And I know that may not seem, like wild, but it is amazing. And I really do believe it'll be the future. So I want to jump into our activity for today. And I want to talk about what the goal is. Our goal is to make this. And this is just our first part. So there's 3 different activities, and you're just going to have to dedicate some time today. So why don't we jump right into it? The goal is to determine the area of this part right here. And actually, I think I can click on it because the area is hidden with my view. So I want to know what the area of that is. Well, how do I even get here? And what do I know? How do I know what I'm supposed to do? So I'm going to ask everyone to click on the Learning Center once they're on their homepage. And one of the great things about OnShape is they have a lot of tutorials. They've done a really, really good job with this website. I think I may move towards it in the future. I'm not sure, but I think it's an interesting concept. You're going to click on self-paced courses. You're going to go to, which one was it? What did I call it? Introduction to Part Design. Yeah, you're going to click on that one. Introduction to Part Design. You'll eventually find it. If you need any help, just let me know. Then what I'm going to ask you to do in the assignment is, first day, just go ahead and watch these first videos. It's just a nice introduction to it. But as you go through it, you're eventually going to get to an exercise. And the goal is to create this. So it gives you step-by-step tutorials on how to do it. So just so you guys know. There's other aspects of this that I really would love for you guys to know. It's the fact that if you have questions about it, I think it's here. There's so many shortcuts in OnShape that if I just type something, you can quickly jump into it. So if I'm in a part studio, if I want a new sketch, I just hit Shift S. If I want to extrude something, Shift E. Fillet is Shift F. Sketch, if I just want to do a line. Sometimes you see me, I won't click on something. Instead, I'll just use the shortcut, and I'll try to mention it when I start it. So we're going to go through this activity. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to start by splitting my screen up. And why don't we do that here? Oh, I have a lot of tabs open now. So why don't I open that there, and go here. Okay. So what do I want to do with this activity? Well, I want to go ahead and create a new part. So it's going to walk me through step by step how I'm supposed to do this. You're going to click this next slide to go through it. So I'm going to create a document, and I'm going to go ahead and name it exercise sketching. Underscore your first and last name. Okay, great. One of the things you'll notice is there is a little bit of difference. Typically, you're probably used to clicking on a plane and then all of a sudden it rotates. You have to make it normal to you. So I'm going to use a shortcut N on my keyboard. So N makes it normal. Then what do I want to do? Well, I want to create a new sketch. So create new sketch. And actually one of the things I'd value is that you should go through it and start tabbing over and seeing that a lot of these functions that maybe you were familiar with at one point exist. So I'm going to hit new. And new sketch. Great. So what am I going to do now? So let me go back to this. So I'm going to move through it a little quicker because you guys could read through it, right? But we're going to create a corner rectangle. So you could go through it. You can find corner rectangle. And it's going to be a little harder only because you'll notice that I'm a little not using all of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a normal rectangle. There we go. It also tells me note the midpoint constraint here. So how do I show the constraints? I just click there. So it looks pretty similar, except for the fact that that is not the midpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select midpoint, and I'm going to make this point the midpoint. Great. Now that means that this is equal on the left and right side. It also tells me to draw a vertical line up. So I'm going to go ahead and find the line feature. I could have just typed in L. I'm going to draw it straight up. There we go. And then in order to make a construction, I'm going to right click and make it a construction line. I think I got it all down. Let's move on to the next one. Next, it wants me to go ahead and draw an arc and make it tangent to these lines. So now I got to find the arc feature. And it wants me to do a 3-point arc. So instead of clicking at it, I'm going to show you that I'm just going to click A, and then the arc feature exists. It makes me want it tangent, right? So instead of hitting this button, you're just going to see me. See, I'm just going to hit the T button. And then I'm going to say I want this line to be tangent to this circle. I want this line to be tangent to this, and I mean arc. Next, I'm going to go ahead and draw lines. And so I am moving pretty quick, but take your time with it. I'm going to go ahead and go through there, connect back there. And then I think it makes me want that midpoint. It does. So then I don't think midpoint has a shortcut button. I don't know why. There we go. Now that's the midpoint. Okay, looks good. Next slide. Change to construction lines. All right, so you'll see that I can click on both lines. I'm going to hold the control key. Control, sorry. I'm going to make both of those construction lines. You can do them one by one. I'm just trying to move quickly. Then it also wants me to sketch a circle as shown. So I got to go to the circle. I don't actually know what, oh, makes sense, C. I could have just typed in C. And I'm just going to make a random circle because it doesn't tell me how big it's supposed to be. Okay, these lines are equal. So it wants me to make a line. So instead of wasting time, I'm just going to hit the L button. Whoops. So if you hit escape, just so you know, that's how it gets you out of the function. So now I'm going to hit L because that's line. I'm already learning the shortcuts. I'm going to draw there, I'm going to draw there, and then I'm going to draw down. And then because it makes me want it to be equal, I'm going to learn that E is for equal. So then I'm going to go ahead and hit E and then click one line, two lines, and now those are equal. Well, it's getting a little busy there. Whoops, sorry, my computer's glitching. Now I'm going to dimension. So the first time I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and show you that all these buttons exist. You could kind of scroll through it, and I'll eventually find it. Where's dimension? Where's dimension? Oh, there it is, dimension. All right, let's go through it. And just so you guys know, dimension is D. So if you see that little D when you put your mouse over it, that means it's a shortcut. So some of them have it, some of them don't. Like, so mirror doesn't have a shortcut. I don't know why, but it doesn't. So now I'm going to hit D, and now I'm going to be able to get going. So from the top of here to the bottom of here, it was, what was it, 1.25. And then from here to here, it was 2.5. From here to here, 3.5. You'll notice that this is very similar to Inventor for the most part. And why don't I hide the constraints now, just so it's a little less busy. Next slide. I'm going to make this 2. I'm going to make this radius of 2. Let's see, anything else? I think that was it. I'm going to make this from here to, I guess, this line, 45. Because it's equal, it will capture for both. Now I can hit the step sketch. Great. Now, what does it want me to do? And what's the first activity going to ask you to do? So actually, I'll move my screen because I'll click on the wrong part. If I click on this circle, you'll notice that it tells me a diameter, right? If I click on, I don't want to show the answer, that's why. That, you'll tell me it shows me an area. What I want you to do is, and I'm going to move my screen over it now to block it, I want you to tell me what the area of that is. So obviously your screen wouldn't be there. Then all I'm going to ask you to do is use the snipping tool, new, capture that, including your first and last name, and then copy and paste this into your Google Doc. All right. I'm doing number 1 for you. Number 2, I will not do. Number 3, I will not do. So what is number 2 and 3? What I'm going to ask you guys to do in this activity is to go through this module and complete the extrude feature and the revolve feature. You're going to be able to follow step by step through these diagrams. And then for funsies, if you want to take the self-check, you can. This is going to be something that we're going to use for the final as well, and there will be questions related to OnShape, so just make sure you're practicing with it. But otherwise, we're going to use this tool. I hope you guys are excited for it. You'll know that there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. People have made really interesting stuff. If you're in robotics, there's a whole Vex parts library of, stuff that you can create a bot virtually. So you don't need Inventor. You can save it on any computer. You can do it with your friends at the same time. And that's the crazy part. You can actually create an assembly with 3 different people at the same time. So you can take turns working on it. All right. Hope you guys are well. If you guys have questions, please ask me. Otherwise, read through assignment number 5 and take care. I hope you guys are safe, healthy, and miss you guys.